Welcome to the Blockbusters and Birdwalks podcast. I am the curator, Garrett Chaffin-Quiray. Today we have a conversation with a friend, Ed Rosa.
That's me. Hi. My filmmaking partner and I have a YouTube channel, Toothless Richard Productions, where you can see a number of our short films.
Nature can kill us. Nature is bigger than us. But nature is also a playground where very skillful storytellers can describe wonderful things. People as meat is high on mind for me, and I like those kinds of stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a fire in the sky in the morning when the sun is a crimson dawning and the earth is aglow like a burning ember. Whose land is this? This is my land.
We began being hangout buddies or so a little over 10 years ago, and when I first stepped into your home for a movie night with your friends, there was this chatter about a movie called Roar, and I couldn't tell if I was being punked the whole way through. It sounded too fantastic to possibly be true, but it also sounded possible because wealthy Hollywood people have strange interests.
Yeah.
And what I remember from that earliest encounter with this movie, Roar, is that Tippi Hedren, she of the Alfred Hitchcock movie fame, who I know from that background, had developed a project to save big game cats,
Right.
and had developed a movie about that to promote her efforts of saving big game cats.
Because this was never released officially in North America. It came out in 1981, but it didn't show here, only overseas. It didn't come out here until 2015. One of the advertising, one of the taglines was that no animals were harmed during the making of this film. 72 crew members were.
Also in the cast is Tippi's then young adult daughter, Melanie Griffith, who I've known all of her adult career, who began contributing to this movie as a tween, maybe, up into her early 20s when the movie was finally completed.
Yeah, because it took them 11 years, I think, and they were working on it for, like, I think principal photography took, like, 5.
The whole of the 70s and more to make this thing happen, which is an extraordinary thing to behold. It was not cheap. It was, as we just said, terribly time-consuming. Much flesh was rendered, including Melanie Griffith's face apparently was partly peeled by one of these lions. So when it came time to build out the list for Revenge of Nature, Roar seemed like a natural pick. Then you gave me a copy, I watched the copy, and I hated it. As a movie, it is just, I think, the worst movie I have ever seen, or certainly a top 5. It's really, really bad. This woman, Tippi Hedren, who wants to preserve big game cats, wants to figure out some way to make all of us feel better about nature and to not destroy the natural world in which these animals live and bring about peace, harmony. But the resulting movie and its aspirational intent to bring people into her worldview is so laughable.
I love animals. I don't want to see them harmed. I believe in conservation efforts. So that's the funny thing about this movie. By the time we're about halfway in, I want to shoot all these cats.
So the premise is that Tippi Hedren's real-world then-husband, Noel Marshall, who is the director and the writer, he's a naturalist in Africa who specializes in large cats, with a menagerie of cheetahs and tigers and lions. There are elephants in residence nearby. But I'm not talking 2 or 3. I mean hundreds of creatures.
No, right. It's lots. And many of them, I imagine, would not be together naturally.
Right.
I don't know that you're supposed to have, like, that many male lions
hanging out
together. That's why they're constantly fighting.
And so Hank has done this on his own and his family, and that's his wife. This is Tippi playing Madeline, his daughter, Melanie, playing Melanie, and then Neil Marshall's real-world sons, John and Jerry, playing John and Jerry. So these 3 kids and the missus live, I assume, back in the United States. They're a little bit upset with Dad for this crazy thing that he's doing because he lives with dozens and dozens of wild creatures that outweigh him and could eat him at will in this gigantic house. The crux then is he needs to win over the grant providers that help pay for this facility, who are hostile to what he's doing because they see him as a madman. They see these animals as
rightfully
dangerous.
so.
And at the same time, he has his family coming to be with him after years of separation, and he's looking forward to that. But there's this odd comic thing of him trying to travel across the country to pick them up at the airport, having mishaps. And the people voting on the grant ultimately vote against him, but that scatters the grant-providing organization. 2 of them want to shoot all of the animals and exterminate the problem. And the rest are like, we should give him the money. So this is the whole problem. The family arrives on site when he is driven off to go find them, but he has a car breakdown, and he spends the rest of the movie trying to get back home while they are being harassed, Cujo-like, by dozens of creatures who seem to want to play or eat them for minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
The poachers show up and begin killing the animals until finally they are killed, the family is reunited, and then we have a sing-along song over the credits. Roar!
Yeah. The entire length of Roar, imagine like the last 10 minutes of any given horror movie, but just extended to feature length.
Yeah.
Think about like Kingdom of the Spiders or Aliens. Like think of that like Night of the Living Dead, you know what I mean? They're able to like, keep that house fortified until like the last 10 minutes of the movie when they're just the perimeter is penetrated by zombies and now they're running amok.
Yeah, and you keep proceeding up to the rooftop or down to the basement.
Right, because there's too many of them now.
Where the animals finally arrive and finally the invasion is complete.
Right.
Versus the hour of anticipation. The enemy is coming.
Right.
There's no lead up. They're allowed to run amok in this house that dumb Hank runs for them.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. According to Wiki, he got bit, but like I swear there's that one when the first time
it's
he
pretty
goes,
early in the movie.
where he gets like tagged on the hand by one of their claws and basically just, like opens his hand up.
Yeah.
And then his hand is like all gangrenous and bandaged up for the rest of the movie. And it's like, who wants to live like this?
Yeah. And why would you invite your family?
Right.
And why does the family show up in the movie? Okay, so when the family arrives, so this is Tippy and the kids, right? They're immediately overwhelmed by these critters.
Besieged. All they do in the movie is just get attacked by these kids, right?
And they keep saying, we have to leave, we can't be here.
And then
When's Dad going to save us? And then when Dad shows up, nothing really materially changes.
Right.
They just decide they're going to cuddle with all these critters and how cute they all are. And
right.
then the movie just stops.
Yeah,
so
ridiculous.
There were like some vibes that I was having when I was with my better angels, like trying to give this movie a chance. And I had to watch it, I think, in 5 separate pieces.
One of our pals from our movie group, when they had their wedding, they rented this resort. They hit me up and they're like, "Hey, well, in one of the there's like a big TV in one of the spaces in here, so that like during the reception or whatever, we want you to just play crazy movies.
Okay,
like not the kind of thing where people are gonna like sit down and be like, everybody be quiet, like here comes the movie. Like it's just gonna be a loop of films like running quietly, but in this room where there's also a bar and a big couch and stuff like that.
So you could naturally for a bit and catch a few minutes. So Roar
was absolutely one I put on there because if you're like at somebody's wedding having a few drinks, you're unaware of this movie, and you stumble into this area where there's a bar and a couch and this TV, and you sit down for a couple of minutes, and it's Roar, you're going to be like, what the hell am I watching?
Is this really happening?
Right.
So a couple of things that rolled into my reaction is I have an uncle who bears at a similar age, this was when my uncle was probably in his later 30s, who resembles Hank quite a lot. Lanky, long, very friendly, very nature first, very interested in animals, kindly. He's very much like him.
Outside can be inside. That's fine with me.
Yeah, but much more practical than this dude Hank. So I kept thinking that's my uncle to a degree visually. And then the next symptom. When we first meet all of the critters and Hank, it feels a lot like an outtake of going to visit Moss Eisley Cantina. You have the guide character, Luke, being taken by Obi-Wan into this place, the den of bad things,
right.
So watch out. I had an uncle who was alive in the 70s, who was a bit of a mountain man during that period of his life. I was very aware of the Star Wars experience and the way that unusual flora and fauna were part of American popular culture.
Right.
And then it descends into some kind of madhouse home movie, dressed up with really good cinematography, sometimes interesting stunt work.
Jan Bont, right? Who's, I swear I know his
deal.
name.
Speed.
Oh, okay,
Twister.
okay, yeah. He directed Speed, didn't he?
He did.
Okay, that's why I know his name.
So he went on to a pretty good action career as a director, but he got his start being a DP.
He himself, too, was scalped by one of the lions.
Scalped.
Yeah,
right?
that's the description on Wikipedia. He was Cherries, the lion, scalped him.
I wanted to see the scalping. I wanted to have evidence on screen.
You kind of get some of it, but there's never any just unflinching, oh no, there goes his scalp.
Right. Towards the end of the movie, the worst thing that happens, aside from Hank having his hand ripped open, which I do believe is actual footage that they just kept.
Yeah, I swear you can see it happen. You can, because you watch, you see the lion's paw come down, and then he snaps his hand back, and then you see blood on it.
Right. And he continues to sort of act his way through the scene. When the poachers eventually show up and start moving their way towards this compound, there's a spot when they take out their long-range rifles and shoot some of the animals, and I think they're probably tranked. You get the next shot of them tumbling down a little hill, and they've got some paint or some ketchup or whatever.
Yeah, because apparently they would tranquilize them for like a vaccination routine.
Right.
So they would just shoot as well.
Right, and they would need to take care of them for health reasons. I understand that, and these are 600-pound animals, so there's a way that makes kind of sense, and they integrate it relatively well. That's the most violent sequence, but you know that it's a pretend, especially because at the end of the movie, when the family finally is all together, and you do the Kumbaya song and think that the world is okay, yay big cats, there's a message in the ending credits crawl that says, they weren't hurt, and they're back playing with their friends.
Right.
It's a silly bit of messaging, but I know they wanted to ensure that if there were some 12-year-old that had walked in to see this, they're not going to be over concerned that we were killing our feline friends in order to make the movie. So I was waiting to have a piece of evidence of the mayhem. For instance, when I rewatch every now and then the chariot scene from Ben-Hur, I'm looking for the leap that killed the stuntman. And you can see where the leap happened. I look for Brandon Lee's death
in the Crow,
because I know when the scene is. I know where to look.
Or Vic Morrow and them two kids in Twilight Zone, the movie.
You know where it happens.
Yeah.
That's how I was approaching this. I was looking for where it happened. I think I know where Melanie Griffith got scalped, because there's this prolonged sequence when they're moving room to room, the missus and the three kids waiting for dad to return home, and they keep getting overmatched by these cats that knock over the furniture, destroy their hiding places, and at one point, Melanie is literally just sat upon by one of the lions. And then another one comes up, and they start just playing with her body like it's a doll, putting their mouth, and she's like, I can't do anything about this, Mom, help me.
And they're so large, even if they're just playing,
a lot of weight is crushing you.
Right. Or even, just even if they're just not really super biting you, those teeth are still super sharp, and they are still exerting way more, pressure than a human body is going to be able to handle.
I got a 60-pound German Shepherd in the next room, and she cobs, that word for kind of biting at you for play, to just, it's a wrestling kind of thing. But she's 60 pounds. I'm a lot bigger, and if I say stop and scare her, she'll back off.
Right.
This lion doesn't care.
No, they're not going to.
So there's that scene when they're just on top of Melanie Griffith, and I know the adult actress that I met later on, seeking her naked body and things like that. Where she exposes herself in Bonfire, the Vanities.
Yeah, right.
Or was it Body Double?
A Body Double.
You get to really look at these animals up close, because really that's all that's happening through whole pieces of the movie. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is not Attenborough. This is exploitative of these large animals held in this unusual and unnatural condition where all of their tendencies, their instincts, are frustrated by being massed together inappropriately.
Right.
And then they can't really do much about it but be frustrated. They are in jail.
Right. And we're supposed to believe that the people responsible for this are doing important work.
Yeah, and clearly they're not. And the movie sucks.
That was one of my problems with Timmy Treadwell, the subject of Werner Herzog's Grizzly Man.
Yeah. Better movie.
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah, it's Herzog. It's way better movie.
Yeah.
But also, Timmy Treadwell is as big of an asshole, if not more, than Noel Marshall and Tippi Hedren, because by the time Grizzly Man concluded, I'm like, this guy deserved to be eaten by these bears. He's up there acting like he's got some kind of connection that he doesn't have, acting like he's doing something important for these bears, which he's not. And then he gets eaten, and I'm supposed to feel bad?
Well, here I am at the scene of the fight. It looks as if tractors tore the land up, raked it, rototilled it, tossed it about. There's fur everywhere, and in the camera foreground, excreted waste in the middle of the fight, so violent.
You might very well be included as a member of that clan of animals. That could very well happen. But you're not prepared physically to withstand the pressure physically of dealing with those animals.
Right.
An adult lion is so much bigger than you.
Yeah,
it could accidentally disembowel you by just greeting you. It is so massive.
Right, exactly. Like, there's some shots where, like, you can see, like, the lion's paw, and I'm watching it, and you can see, like, the claws.
Right.
Sort of, and then they'll retract, or they'll come out, and I'm like, those things are just, they're automatically, like, just deadly weapons that, right, you could be disemboweled, and the animal, like, is not even necessarily trying to do that. You know, they don't know their own strength, and they don't know, you know, your weakness.
They're used to playing with each other,
right,
or killing something to eat.
Right.
And you're something that's not either of those.
Right.
You're not really them.
Right.
Your skin, your flesh, your musculature, your size.
Just because they don't attack and kill you immediately doesn't mean that you guys are friends now.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, in a way, it's almost kind of funny that Roar didn't get released in America until it did, until, like, you know, we're well in the age of, like, Instagram and social media, because that's one of the things that has bothered me as someone who does love sort of animals and nature. When you go on Instagram, there's just tons of reels of people with pets they shouldn't have.
I grew up, and probably you did too, going regularly to the local zoo in San Diego, to what we used to be called the Wild Animal Park.
I'll never call it the other name. It's the Wild Animal Park.
And that was a regular feature of my childhood and yours too. So I've seen these animals in a more like their actual habitat environment, but still a human-contained one where they're artificially sort of severed from their instinctual habits to keep themselves alive. I just mean to say that there may have been good intentions here to make the movie, but the resulting piece of art isn't.
Right.
The images that we get are frustrating because of how mismatched these people's intentions are with the reality of what they created.
Right. The road to hell is truly paved with good intentions. But I would happily agree. Like, no, there is absolute value in what you did. It's, in fact, I think it's wonderful that there not only is a completed film, but a documentary documenting this ludicrous pursuit of trying to make this movie. But what it's good for was arrived at accidentally, and it fails at what they intended it to do.
Oh, isn't this fantastic? Oh, what do you think? You guys gonna stay a while? Sure, Dad. I don't have to be back to Chicago until next week.
When COVID kicked off and all of us were looking for things to do indoors, Tiger King.
Joe Exotic or whatever his name is,
Crazy person.
Yeah.
But I did not realize how popular it is to have exotic pets in people's households. And so these people would grow older, they would die, and then the rest of the family would need to come in and figure out a way to caregive.
You're like, oh, what are we going to do with this tiger?
Correct. Or this python that's 30 years old. And you think that must be just a one-off for crazy people near the zoo. But it's not.
No, it's not.
And Tiger King was a real revolution in my thinking that people do, with surprising regularity, bump into creatures that they take home as pets. Creatures that they're unwilling to train well, to live with people and coexist, and train themselves to deal with an animal that will only ever be half wild.
Well, yeah, like, you can't... Because I was looking into this, because foxes are absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, can I keep a fox as a pet? Because everybody else on Instagram seems to have one.
Right.
Dogs and cats, this domestication...
Took long
thousands of years. There are no domesticated foxes.
And it will do things you're not expecting.
Right.
And you need to be prepared for the consequences of that. That becomes a live thing to see in Tiger King, which delivers on occasion some of the gore that I was hoping Roar was going to deliver, which means I'm a private monster. I mean,
we
what
all are, right? I mean,
but
on some level.
You see people get degloved.
Right.
Nasty business. And that becomes part of the machine of why that series, limited as it was during the COVID times when we just needed something crazier than what we were living with through that epidemic. So that was my clue that maybe it was time to get around to Roar. So when we hatch this, Roar naturally has to be seen by this fool.
Right.
Because I'm a monster looking for human damage.
Right. Well, right. I mean, film by its very nature is a voyeuristic, exploitative art form. Whether it be Melanie Griffith being, her face being degloved by a lioness, or whether it be, Melanie Griffith bearing it all in Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah.
You sold the damn thing to me on the fact that no animals were harmed. Right, but 72 crew members were, ooh, I gotta see that.
Because I do want to see that.
But then when I do see it and it looks real to me, I'm like, man, no, geez, what the hell are you guys doing? Stop it. Even though that's what I'm there for.
So you flash forward in the Alamo Drafthouse guys, right?
Yeah, Tim League.
They get all stoked about this, and they release it in April 2015, which I have some good memories of. The second baby had been born. I was starting to return to public life a little bit. The notable movie that I want to put this up against for that second release in 2015 is George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which has this incredible set of stunt works, dozens deep, with people doing things that are truly spectacular.
Yeah, I don't even know how that movie just absolutely mind blowing. How you even imagine this stuff to be able to make storyboards and communicate this to people. It's so wild.
The dozens of stunt technicians and all of the cameras and the high heat of African desert, all of that, which just means that this movie Roar is a kind of a gimmick stunt movie. It holds for about 10 minutes. And then you catch on that these are amateur filmmakers. Despite the pedigree of the leading lady, they don't know what they're doing. And it doesn't succeed as entertainment, as an exposure of great craft, or with a lesson that they're trying to portray. They use two hook songs, one at the beginning over the opening credits and one at the end over the final credits, to try to sell the message of the thing. And these are songs that I probably heard something similar to while walking the grounds of the San Diego Wild Animal Park. Roar! This is Blockbusters and Birdwalks, a conversation between Garrett Chaffin-Quiray and
Ed Rosa.
Boop boobity doo.